Hi guys, Monday Night Mystery here. Today I will show you a thriller film from 2019, titled The Aeronaut. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. If you have any recommendations or want particular video, please let me know in comment box below. 1862. The world is in anticipation of a new discovery. Amelia and James are going to climb as high as possible into the sky, simultaneously collecting weather data. 5 minutes before the launch, John is trying to say that the clouds are too dark. It is very dangerous to climb into the sky. But James insists that everything will be fine. He personally carried out the weather calculations. People are looking forward to the show when suddenly the local star Amelia leaves. And while she's playing to the public, she comes up with an idea to take the dog with her. James tries to say that there is no need for this, but she does not listen to him and gives the signal to cut the ropes. When they have climbed a little higher, Amelia lowers the dog by opening the parachute. Adding that instead of frowning, James should take a closer look at nature at an altitude of 341 meters. Everything is incredibly small. James talks about the importance of their mission and moves back 2 years. When he could not even dream of taking to the sky, at a scientific meeting he tried to convey that meteorology is incredibly important. People can discover a lot of interesting things and all he needs is funding, after which he will be able to predict the weather. After such words, they decide to ridicule him for his short-sightedness of thinking. Upon arrival, James tries to say that Newton was also not taken seriously. But instead of supporting his father, he also tries to say that James is not on the right road. So far in real time they have climbed 1500 meters where James transmits data using pigeon mail. After that, they plunge into thick clouds. James is incredibly amused, but the pressure began to change very quickly, and out of nowhere there was a flash. The balloon begins to shake and they are thrown right onto the thundercloud. A commotion begins and James does not understand how his predictions could not come true, adding that their balloon does not conduct electricity so you don't have to worry. But in just a couple of seconds they are sucked into the airstream. From what they start flying around the cabin. Amelia and Jason are struggling to hold on to the edges, but Amelia breaks down, although she still manages to cling to the edge. Jackson quickly manages to drag her back and here is the long-awaited silence, as well as sunlight with a beautiful view of the planet. At this time on Earth, John says that they have disappeared from sight. It's been 19 minutes and Gloria appears in front of them, an incredibly rare phenomenon that distracts James from collecting data. But at the same time, he notices that it has become incredibly quiet, although they again fall into the clouds where horses and bells can be heard. So they manage to understand that the sound is transmitted in a humid environment. 5 kilometers behind and surprisingly a whole flock of butterflies appears in front of them. His friend had told him about this effect and now he was convinced of it in reality. However, the temperature drops sharply to -6 a little higher. Amelia records the received data. She is also interested in what height they are at. James meets 6,918 meters, which is a new world record. Amelia is infinitely glad that James allowed her to get into this study. And he replies that he has been waiting for this moment for a lifetime. But there is no time to waste because you need to send the collected data. The balloon starts to increase dramatically and even though Amelia says that they need to get down as quickly as possible, James has other plans. He literally lit up with the opportunity to climb as high as possible and he is not interested in descending at all. Amelia replies that it will become incredibly cold very soon and is already trying to start the descent. But James again insists that with every meter they are getting closer and closer to the sun and incredible discoveries are ahead. Death is just a dummy if science is at stake. And the stars fascinate James, which makes him even more convinced that the descent is absolutely not important. The balloon is already beginning to be covered with frost. And Amelia throws out a couple of ballasts without suspecting what a cancerous mistake she made. A few more minutes pass. By this time the balloon is completely covered with frost. The ropes begin to creak a little due to the increasing pressure. While they are recording data, namely 8,077 meters and the temperature is -15 degrees. James notices that the higher they rise, the lower the humidity and there is practically no steam. Then he takes out a pigeon that instantly dies. James says that there is another one, but he also suffered the same fate. Amelia asks to start going down because just one break means an imminent fall. But James has already gone crazy and throws out everything that comes to his hand. A scuffle begins during which James's blood pressure jumps, from which he still calms down. While Amelia tells her tragic story when she and her husband tried to break the record, but the balloon cracked. Her husband, realizing that there is no way back anymore, jumps overboard, thereby saving Amelia's life. And even though James is very sorry, he still doesn't want to come down. Amelia tries to reset the gas, but the valve does not open. It is very frozen. All she has to do is climb to the very top and break off the ice. She asks James to wait a little longer, then climbs to the top. She breaks down but manages to catch on, and the thoughts of her husband fight for their lives. With the last of her strength, Amelia climbs to the very top and opens the valve. However, it is not able to fully open, which is why she squeezes her shoe into the crack and falls asleep at an altitude of 10,978 meters. Unconscious, Amelia begins to slip a little. But miraculously, she still manages to recover. Swinging like on a bungee, Amelia climbs into the cabin where James no longer falls any signs. And all because he just dozed off. Amelia says that his device started bubbling, to which James replies, "We're going down." And he apologizes for his actions. After all, the desire to discover something new clouded his mind. He also disinfects his hands to make Amelia feel a little better. But talk by talk when it will still be possible to collect snowflakes from a height of 10,000 meters. And now they are already at an altitude of 7,000 meters, and the snow literally freezes in time. But this is not some kind of miracle. Their balloon is falling at an incredible speed. They are trying to close the valve, but this is not enough. You need to dump all the ballast. James understands that they need to trim the basket because it is the heaviest. But even so, they are still falling too fast. Amelia is already thinking of acting like her husband, but James manages to convince her to create a kind of parachute, and only after that the speed began to drop. True, this is not the end. A harsh landing awaits them ahead. James falls out first and Amelia touches the ground a couple of times, but luck is on their side and none of them was hurt. This journey has remained forever in the history of mankind. We managed to find out that the atmosphere is divided into several layers. This discovery made it possible to predict the weather, even though no one believed James until quite recently. From that day on, together with Amelia, they constantly rise into the sky to collect a couple of forecasts. This is the story of the movie The Aeronaut. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel's algorithm, and wait for the next Monday Night Mystery. And thank you.